I know that you mentioned something, actually, Dr. Schwimmer, that I wanted to come back to about when someone has had a trauma, and let's say they break their arm and they don't even realize it. Dr. Ling, and maybe both of you can speak to this, but resiliency, one thing that I looked up the definition of resiliency, and the first definition is the ability of a substance or object to spring back into shape, so elasticity. Mm-hmm. The second definition is the capacity to recover quickly from difficulties, toughness. And the first thing that came to mind was, if that was the description in the dictionary, there would be a picture of a strong black woman next to it, right? Because that's what you do. You are resilient, you're tough, but I think that's become the MO for a lot of African Americans, unfortunately, is to become strong, adapt. And so many unfortunate situations come from not being able to say, "Uncle, my arm's broken, I'm tired, I need help." And so I'm wondering, how do we get people to say, it's okay to not be a strong black woman, it's okay to not be a strong black man, it's okay to not be a strong any person? And how when resiliency becomes almost maybe a mental illness, I don't know if that makes sense, but it's like you think that I can handle this, but no, you're stuffing down your feelings, you're not dealing with issues.
Well, it's your definition of like strength and power, right? So if we think of strength and power as a macho, tough, rigid kind of strength and power, that's only one very limited definition, while resilience is a kind of strength and power, right? Like the palm tree, being able to flex and come back into position. That's what people need to learn how to do. So psychological tools of managing anger and stress and communication and relationships are all about this resiliency, right? Life pushes you this way and pushes you that way. Without those tools and that rigid holding on to a certain flawed definition of power and strength, right? Like this, that tough, rigid guy. See that? If you hold on to those definitions and you don't take other things in, like resiliency, into the definition, then you're shortchanging yourself and you limit your options in terms of how to recover from a problem. So it's not just putting that tough face forward, right? Crying, venting, communicating, all of those things are part of resiliency. It's like those little pressure valves. You have a pressure cooker. Those little pressure valves are our tools for recovering, right? Crying to a friend, going to a movie, doing whatever.
Going to a therapist.
Going to a therapist,
Yes.
right.
Resiliency is the ability to bounce back. I think it's important for us to have some sense of psychological resiliency, to be able to bounce back in our minds. And those of us in the African American community have done that for so long, right? We built this notion of being strong, having some sense of fortitude, being able to face anything that comes our way. But you're right, we do have to redefine that for ourselves. It's okay to cry. It doesn't mean that you're weak or you're less than. I'm all right, I'm tough, I'm gonna make it. And there's strength in vulnerability, allowing yourself to let go, to not have the blinders on, to let those defenses down, so then you can again gird up and get ready for the next challenge, the next thing that you may face. So it's redefining that. I can't agree with that more. That was well said. Redefining the definition of what it means. It doesn't necessarily always look one particular way.
Absolutely, and I told someone if I had to choose between wisdom and strength, I would choose to be wise. Because I think, we're so quick to say, I'm a strong woman, but strength can't always get you out of every situation.
Right.
Resiliency, yes, to your point, redefining it, but being wise to know I'm not strong enough to handle this. And I was reading an article in Ebony about depression and black women or black superwoman syndrome. And I just wanted to read this quote. I thought it was so powerful. Masking up as a superwoman is killing us. Whether we meet the death as a result of suicide or the stresses that lead to heart disease or other serious life-threatening illnesses. And so it's like this idea of being strong, it's actually killing us. And there was another great article in The Root that stresses accelerate the aging of black female bodies. And so a lot of black women might look like they're 35, but on the inside, they're aging 7.5 years faster than other women. And so when they say, you know, good black don't crack, a lot of black women might look great on the inside, but they're dying on the outside. So to your point, I think we can't stress enough the importance of emotional wellness and mental health support, and not being afraid to say, I need help.
It's important to reach out. It's so important to not be able to, that's the notion of our community, not only just within the African American community, but in all the communities. Is having this sense of being connected. That's just the way we're built as humans. We have to interact with others. We have to have some sort of dialogue to know that we're a part of something that's larger than ourselves.
Yeah, a tribe. Yeah, absolutely.
And
I think the individual strength, though, is not something to underestimate either. I don't think we throw anything away.
right.
Right? Because there are certain times where you just have to get up and go to work and
Yeah.
face the next problem, right? So that's, if you think of it as a tool rather than a lifestyle, you know, something that sometimes that is absolutely necessary. And we all have to do it sometimes. We get knocked down, sometimes we just have to pick ourselves up and put that right foot in front of the left and keep going. That's true too. So if we have more than one way to be strong, right? Strong in a firm way, strong in an assertive way, and the communication and the resilience, these are all different options that we can use in those situations.
Yeah, absolutely.